What if the ones who walked away at your weakest moment try to return? Not because they've changed, but because they see your light shining stronger than ever? What if the very pain meant to break you was actually the platform God used to build the strongest, wisest version of you? Imagine realizing that their return is not a second chance for them. It's a reminder of the priceless healing journey you fought so hard to complete. Welcome to a truth many miss. Healing is not an invitation for the ones who broke you. It is a sacred journey between you and God, a journey that built a peace too precious to ever trade back for old wounds. When they come back after breaking you, stay strong, don't look back. Billy Graham motivation: they left you broken, shattered, torn up inside. And maybe you don't talk about it anymore. But deep down, you still remember what it felt like the moment they walked away, the moment they chose to break what you thought was solid. Maybe it wasn't loud, maybe it was a slow fade. One day, they just weren't there anymore. And when they left, they didn't just take themselves, they took pieces of you. The version of you that believed, the version of you that loved without guarding your heart. The version of you that trusted too freely. You were left sitting in silence, looking at your own reflection, wondering if maybe it was you. Maybe you were too much, or maybe you weren't enough. The enemy loves to whisper those lies in our weakest moments. And let's be honest, sometimes we believe them. When you've been broken by someone, you gave your best to the wound. Doesn't just cut deep, it echoes. It echoes in the way you second-guess yourself now. It echoes in the way you flinch at love, question, kindness, and build walls where you once built bridges. But let me tell you something right now, and I want you to hold on to this, like your life depends on it. You didn't stay broken. You may have been crushed, but you were never destroyed. You may have been down, but you didn't stay there. And that's the part they never counted on. They thought leaving you would finish you. They thought breaking you would bury you. But God had another plan. See, the world may have seen your breakdown, but they didn't stay for the breakthrough. And that's fine, and let them go. Because God doesn't just work in spite of our brokenness. He works through it. He takes the broken pieces and rearranges them into something more beautiful than what was there before. You are not who you used to be. That season of heartbreak didn't define you. It refined you. You learned how to stand alone. You learned how to cry, then get up anyway. You discovered strength you didn't even know lived inside of you. And here's the real miracle. Even though they walked away, you're still here. You're still breathing, still building, still believing. You may have scars. Yes, but scars don't mean you're weak. Scars mean you survived something that should have taken you out. And now they're back. Now they want to talk. Now they realize what they lost. But here's the hard truth. Just because someone wakes up doesn't mean you need to open the door again. Some people only come back because they see the light in you shining brighter than before. But they didn't stay when it was dim. They didn't water the seed, but they want to taste the fruit. That's not love, That's convenience. That's regret, knocking on your door, hoping you'll forget the cost of your healing. Don't fall for it. Don't let loneliness talk you into reopening a wound God already closed. You've come too far grown, too deep, learned too much. There's no going back to the place that broke you. Not because you hate them, not because you're bitter, but because you finally learned how to love yourself enough to protect your peace. Listen to me. When they come back after breaking, you remember who held you while you wept. Remember who whispered to your heart when you had no one-else. Remember who carried you through the nights you didn't think you'd survive. It wasn't them, it was God. And if He brought you out, don't you dare go back into what He rescued you from. They left you broken, but you didn't stay broken. That's what they'll never understand. Just because you've healed doesn't mean you have to open the door again. Healing is not a welcome mat for the one who wounded you. You see, when someone breaks you and walks away, they don't get to come back and enjoy the healed version of you as if nothing happened. That healing didn't come cheap. It came through nights of silent prayers. It came through days when you had to fight just to get out of bed. It came with tears no one saw and conversations with God that no one heard. You see, there's something sacred about healing. It's a process between you and the one who created you. And when you go through that kind of process, when God reaches down and lifts your spirit out of the ashes, when He breathed life back into your bones, it changes you. It teaches you to value what you didn't know how to protect before. Your peace, your energy, your joy. And when someone who broke all that tries to return like they've been on pause, it's not your responsibility to let them back in. They might say they miss you. They might even say they've changed. But here's the thing. Change isn't just about words. It's about fruit. And healing doesn't make you forget the past. It helps you learn from it. Sometimes people come back, not because they love you, but because they miss how you made them feel. They miss the way you loved them, supported them, carried them, even when they weren't treating you right. But don't confuse nostalgia with restoration. Just because someone regrets what they lost doesn't mean they're ready to handle who you've become. Let's not forget what it took to get here. You learned how to walk. Again, spiritually, emotionally, maybe even physically. You learned how to breathe without needing their approval. You learned how to look in the mirror and see someone worthy, even after they made you feel disposable. So now, when they show back up at your door, don't let guilt or old feelings convince you to invite them into a space they didn't help build. You didn't go through all that healing just to hand the keys to someone who once shattered everything. That's what the enemy wants to pull you back into a place God delivered you from. But healing should make you wiser. It should give you new vision. You see things now you didn't see before. And that vision lets you discern the difference between a lesson and a lifeline. Some people were meant to teach you, not travel with you. And once the lesson is learned, you don't retake the class. Your healing isn't just about moving on. It's about moving up. Elevation comes with separation. You outgrew the version of you that needed their approval. You outgrew the silence you used to sit in just to keep the peace. You outgrew the part of you that tolerated being treated like an option. And that growth didn't happen so you could shrink yourself when they returned. It happened so you could stand tall and say, "I've been through too much to go back to what broke me." You're not being mean. You're not being cold. You're protecting the very thing God rebuilt in you: your heart, your peace, your purpose. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Sometimes the best closure is not giving them access to the healed version of you. They never stay to support. So let them come back. Let them realize what they lost. Let them remember your love. But don't confuse their return with your responsibility. God brought you this far, not so you could entertain the past, but so you could walk boldly into your future. That healing was personal. It was holy. And it's not a door for them to walk through. It's a door for you to keep walking forward. Healing is not a door back to their comfort. It's a gate to your freedom. Pain has a way of walking into your life, uninvited, doesn't it? It doesn't knock. It doesn't call ahead. It just shows up often through the people you trusted, the ones you love, the ones you believe would never be the source of your deepest hurt. And when it happens, it shakes you. It strips away the comfort, the routine, the illusion of control. You find yourself in a place where you're no longer sure who you are or where you're going. The very foundation of your heart feels cracked. But here's the thing you've got to understand. Pain is not punishment. It's not proof that God has forgotten you or that you weren't good enough. No pain, real deep soul cutting. Pain is often the classroom where God teaches us our most powerful lessons. What they meant to destroy you with God will use to develop you. What they did to break you, He will use to build you. That pain, that wasn't the end of you. It was the start of something new. You didn't just cry through that pain. You grew through it. And even though it felt like punishment in the moment, looking back, can't you see the shift? You prayed different. You moved different. You started seeing people for who they really are, instead of who you hoped they'd be. You got wise. You learned how to listen to your spirit instead of chasing validation. That pain birthed clarity. That pain birthed strength. That pain pulled something out of you that comfort never could. You see, when you go through pain, especially the kind caused by betrayal, abandonment, or rejection, it doesn't just hurt. It reveals your dependency, your patterns, your blind spots, and most importantly, it reveals your need for God in ways you never realized before. Because it's in that pain, when you're on the floor with nothing left, that you finally stop reaching for people and start reaching for Him. You stop trying to fix it yourself, and you say, "Lord, I can't carry this." And that's when healing begins. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. And listen, the same people who caused the pain. They didn't stay for your transformation. They didn't sit with you in the dark. They weren't there when you were learning how to breathe again, one prayer at a time. They saw the breakdown, but they weren't part of the breakthrough. And that's important to remember when they try to come back, because some folks want the version of you that pain produced, but they never stayed through the process that made you. They don't know the price. They don't know the weight you carried when no one saw. So don't let them cheapen your growth by walking back into your life like they're entitled to your peace. God used that pain, every tear, every sleepless night, every anxious thought, every moment you felt unworthy or invisible. He saw it. He was shaping you. Not because he wanted you to suffer, but because he was preparing you for something greater than what you lost. And sometimes the pain wasn't just about them. Sometimes it was about you outgrowing the place where you were. Sometimes it was about shaking you free from people and patterns that couldn't go with you, where God was leading you. It hurts. Yes, but that pain had purpose. That pain taught you to rise. That pain showed you how to stop begging for love and start recognizing your value. That pain separated you from what was destroying your spirit, even if your heart wasn't ready to let it go. And now you've got perspective. Now you've got wisdom. You've got discernment that only comes from the fire. So don't be ashamed of your pain, and don't forget the lessons it taught you. Carry those lessons like armor. Let them guide your decisions, your boundaries, your voice. Because pain was never meant to paralyze you. It was meant to prepare you. Pain was the teacher, not the punishment. When someone walks away after breaking you, it's easy to sit in that space and wonder, what was wrong with me? It's human. You replay conversations in your head. You question your worth. You start carrying guilt for someone else's choices. But the truth is, sometimes people leave not because you were lacking, but because they were. It wasn't your brokenness that made them go. It was theirs. And it's only after they've gone, only after you've been through the wilderness of your healing, that you start to realize something powerful. You never needed them to be whole. There's a lie. The world tells that your worth is tied to who stays, that being wanted equals being worthy. But that's not truth. The truth is, when someone walks out, it doesn't subtract from your value. Your identity is not built on who loves you, but on the one who created you. And when you begin to heal, when God starts putting the pieces back together, you discover something sacred. The strength you were looking for in them was always inside of you. You just didn't know it yet. You spent all that time trying to hold it together, trying to fix what they broke, trying to become what they needed. And somewhere in the process, you forgot that you were never called to carry someone else's emotional chaos. You weren't made to be someone's savior, someone's solution, someone's scapegoat. You were made to be whole. And the beauty of healing is that it teaches you that your wholeness isn't dependent on whether someone chooses you. Your wholeness is found in choosing yourself the way God already chose you. See, when you rise from being broken, you begin to see that being alone doesn't mean you're empty. It means you're free. Free from manipulation, free from confusion, free from the cycle of being too much and not enough at the same time. You realize you were always enough. You were just trying to fit into a story that wasn't written for you. You were trying to carry love that was never meant to be one-sided. And now that you've healed, you don't move the same. You don't chase closure. You don't explain your peace. You protect it. And that's the shift. That's the moment they come back and realize the version of you they left behind no longer exists. They come looking for someone who used to bend, who used to beg, who used to break just to keep the peace. But now you've got boundaries. Now you speak with clarity. You've got a stillness in your soul that doesn't shake every time someone leaves the room, and that unsettles them. Not because you've changed into someone cold, but because you've finally embraced the strength you didn't know was in you all along. It's a strange thing, isn't it? The people who leave are often the same ones who try to return when they see you standing strong. But here's what they don't understand. This version of you wasn't built with their help. It was built in the dark, in the quiet, in the late nights when you cried and prayed and questioned everything. It was built in the mornings you got up when your heart said, "Stay down." This version of you was crafted in the fire, and you don't hand that kind of healing back to the hands that broke you. So when they come back, don't get caught in the past. Don't lose the ground you fought for. Remember what it cost you to heal. Remember how long it took to look at yourself and smile again. You don't need them to feel whole. You never did. They just distracted you from seeing what God always knew about you. That you are enough. You are complete, and you are stronger than you ever imagined. Sometimes it takes being broken to realize you've been whole all along. There's a peace that comes after the storm. Not because everything went back to the way it used to be, but because you finally made peace with the fact that it never will. That kind of peace doesn't come cheap. It comes after heartbreak, after confusion, after sleepless nights filled with questions you may never get the answers to. But somehow, through it all, God gives you clarity. Not about them, but about you. You begin to realize that not everyone who breaks you deserves a second chance. Not every IMUS you deserves a response. Not every return is redemption. And if you're not careful, the very thing God healed you from can come knocking again, wearing a new smile, but carrying the same old damage. That's why discernment matters. That's why wisdom matters. Because when God brings you through something, it's not so you'll go right back to it. It's so you'll never settle for it again. There's something about time and distance that gives you sight. You start to see things you didn't want to admit when you were caught up in the emotions. You begin to recognize how much you gave and how little you received. You begin to see how you explained your worth more than you experienced it. And when that light finally turns on, it's not bitterness, it's revelation. It's the grace of God, opening your eyes to the truth. You were once too loyal to leave. Sometimes people don't come back because they love you. They come back because they realize they lost access to something rare, something real. And when they see you rising, when they see you walking with peace and purpose again, they think they can step back into your life like it's still theirs to walk through. But peace is not a playground. It's sacred ground, and you have every right to guard it. See, when you heal, you start to value your energy differently. You stop entertaining what drains you. You stop apologizing for walking away from confusion. And you no longer feel guilty for choosing peace over people who brought chaos. You learn that not every relationship was meant to be restored. Some were meant to be release, and that release wasn't rejection. It was redirect. God never removes something from your life without reason. Sometimes He lets the breaking happen so that He can rebuild you stronger, wiser, and more anchored in Him. And when He rebuilds you, He doesn't use the same pieces. He gives you new foundations. He gives you discernment, patience, inner strength, and He expects you to protect what He restored. That's why when someone who left comes back, you don't just open the door because they knock. You weigh it. You pray about it. You look beyond the words and ask yourself, is this peace, or is this familiar pain trying to return in disguise? Because peace isn't just the absence of conflict, it's the presence of God's order, it's alignment, it's stillness in your spirit. And when you fought to find that kind of stillness, you don't let just anybody step back into it. The truth is, you've outgrown the cycle. You've outgrown explaining your heart to people who never took care of it. You've outgrown shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for the healed version of you. And it's okay to love someone and still not let them back in. It's okay to forgive and not reconnect. Some doors aren't closed out of hate. They're closed out of wisdom. You're not being hard. You're being healed. You're protecting what took everything in you to rebuild. You're walking in a peace that didn't come from them. It came from God. And when God gives you peace, you don't trade it for another round of what broke you. Protect your peace like it's a promise, because your healing is holy ground. It was paid for with nights of silent tears, mornings of hard-won courage, and battles fought in the unseen places where no applause could reach you. It's not arrogance to protect your peace. It's wisdom. It's strength. It's honor for the version of you who refused to stay broken. When they come back knocking, remember, closure doesn't always come from reopening the door. Sometimes it comes from standing strong in the doorway of your new life, blessing them, and moving forward without ever looking back. Your future is too powerful, too beautiful, and too divine to be compromised by the past.